Hi guys, welcome back to Skincare Anarchy. Today's guest is so amazing. I can't wait to introduce you. I have been such a huge fan of Miss Universe growing up and Miss USA growing up, and it just played a huge role for me as a young woman, just wanting to come into like whatever it was I wanted to do. So without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Miss USA, and also she was the USA contestant in the 2021 Miss Universe pageant. Elle Smith. So welcome to the show, Elle. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, I'm so honored to host you. I meant what I said in my intro. I've always really loved pageants, and I've learned so much. I didn't know English when I came to America, and I used to watch them every year with my mom, and it helped me, you know what I mean, like understand culture, and all the girls were always like so educated, and they had such great things to say. So I want to get started and learn all about you and your journey into pageantry and everything else really, and just everything that led up to Miss Universe this year.
Yes, of course. Ask away.
Where did you start? Like, where did the whole pageantry journey start for you?
Interesting. I'm a little bit different than you. So the pageant bug bit me when I was about 15. So I was in high school and I hadn't heard about pageants beforehand. I didn't know what they were. And a girl from my high school won the teen title. And so I was very intrigued at everything that she was doing. But before that, she was someone that I looked up to. She was beautiful. She was smart. She was involved in a lot of different things. She didn't limit herself to what she was involved in. It could be theater. It could be cross country. And so I admired her. And then I saw that she was the teen title. And I was like, okay, what is she doing? I want to get involved somehow. And so that's
Yeah.
where it started for me. And then my love for it just grew. I think that my appreciation for pageantry and the women that competed, they always made me want to be better. And so finally I was like, you know what, you should just stop watching and finally commit to competing. And so I committed in December of 2020 to compete in Miss Kentucky USA. I was graduated from school. I was in my full-time job and I was like, okay, this seems like a very good time to do it. And I competed in Miss Kentucky USA, happened to win. I wasn't expecting that. And then I think that's where the pageant journey just kind of took off from there.
That's so cool. And how old were you at that time when you won Miss Kentucky?
I was 22.
Well,
Yep.
I know to ask a lady's age, but I'm curious. Just for all the girls, I feel like there's so many young women that want to go into pageantry, Elle, and I never hear about it anymore. Like back when we were growing up, everyone used to talk about it, but I don't hear about it, like in terms of just everyday conversation. So, eventually I'm gonna ask you for advice for everyone, that might be interested. But so after Miss Kentucky, what was the process like for entering into Miss USA? Like, how does that work?
It was a whirlwind. So when you win your state title in the USA system, you're automatically given a bid to go to Miss USA. And so I knew when I won, I was like, okay, I'm going to walk the Miss USA stage, the one I've been watching for the past couple of years, which is a crazy feeling. But prep started immediately. So I was crowned on May 21st, went into my I went into a meeting with my directors and she said, we're going to start preparing for Miss USA, but also we're going to start preparing for Miss Universe, because at that time they already knew that it was going to be a really, really quick turnaround from Miss USA to Miss Universe. So I think that changed the nature of my prep. It was a lot more intense. It was consistent. Every single day I was working on something, whether it be interview prep, whether it would be the physical aspect, the mental preparation, all of those things. So from the time that I was crowned in May to November, it was nonstop prep, which was exhausting at times, but very much worth it.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine because yeah, you've got to keep up with so many different aspects, right? Like, so what was like, can you tell us a little bit about that prep journey? Like what they make you go through, like just to stay on top of everything?
Of course. So there's so many different things that go into Miss USA, things that you probably don't think about. So in terms of the mental preparation, you are there for a little bit more than a week and you're going nonstop. You have appearances with the group, you're getting pulled for interviews for different marketing things. You have all these different things. So being camera ready, being comfortable in front of a camera was something that I had to not really learn because I worked as a reporter, but just, perfect, because reporting is a lot different than pageantry. I get to show my personality a little bit more on the pageantry side. So that was something that was interesting. Interview prep, of course, the biggest part of Miss USA is the interview. They want a woman who is articulate, who can speak to basically a wall, just has those communication skills. So I was in interview prep 24/7. And then, of course, the fun part was wardrobe. You go through your entire wardrobe for the week. You want to be fresh. You want to be fun. You want to show your personality. And then the physical aspect, fun fact, was not in the gym at all before competing in pageantry. I was scared of the gym. But thankfully, through this whole process, I've, created this healthy relationship with going to the gym and health as a whole. So that was a very big part of my prep as well.
That's so cool. No, I really like that. And I like that what you said about, they really want you to be well, articulate really well when you speak and just speak in a way that globally people will understand, your message. And I think that's so huge, that's something that we don't really I guess focus on, I think, as a society, especially in the West, I feel like, So I mean, I'm sure for you it was a pretty easy transition, right? Because I mean, you just seem like like it was,
It's I think it was I wouldn't say it was an easy transition, but just because the whole pageantry world was so new to me, because Miss Kentucky USA was my first. And so, doing a deep dive into the pageant world is a little bit intimidating, but also being a reporter, I'm used to being on your side. So I'm used to asking all the questions. And so to
yeah.
be on the other side and to not control the conversation is still, even right now, a little bit nerve wracking. I'm still getting used to it, but that was the biggest part for me. That's what I had to work on the most.
Oh, it's very interesting actually. It's just I don't think many people realize like how much you guys have to like go through and like really prepare yourselves for. So that's very, very cool. And I want to actually ask you because I know that the pageant world, unfortunately, and I really mean unfortunately, has gotten so much just, I guess you could call it negative publicity or like, there's a lot of blame game stuff going on about, body image and women. And so what's your opinion about all that? Because I personally don't agree with it. I'm just putting that out there for everyone listening. I don't think pageantry can be blamed for anything like that, but because there's a lot of stuff going on.
No, there is. And I think people are always going to have those preconceived notions about pageantry. But like you, I agree. You can't blame the pageantry world as a whole for body image issues. One thing that I loved about our class is that we represented a wide variety of bodies. We were all proud women and we were showcasing that different body types are okay. And that's what I loved about our class. We were diverse in ethnicity, but also in body type. And I think we can, really embrace that and move towards a more accepting and inclusive environment. But I don't think you can blame the pageantry world for any of that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And thank you for that answer. I completely agree with you. And, for me, when I see things like that, I also think that, it's more propagating like excuse-driven mentality for a lot of people, that might be dealing with, making a decision. Do you want to go towards this route or not? I mean, it's just excuses. So I agree with you. Thank you for answering that. I actually want to ask you about just the whole like I guess you could say like transition, right? Because you mentioned that you were a reporter before, and I know that this has taken up all of your time and your career has shifted so much. So how has that been, especially as a woman, in just the career world and juggling everything?
It's been interesting, I will admit. Juggling prep and a full-time job there was multiple contestants who did it. So we all talked and we would laugh and be like, we're struggling. It's hard. It was hard to do both, but I love that the Miss USA organization wants a woman who's well-rounded, who's driven, who is professional. And I think working and juggling prep really showcased my abilities. And so I appreciate it. I learned a lot over the past couple of months leading up to Miss USA about myself, about the real world. And I will forever be grateful for those lessons. But prep is interesting. There's so many skills that transcend from reporting over to pageantry. I've relied heavily on those communication skills over the past couple of months and, being in front of a camera, although it's a little bit different being in front of a camera, I'm more used to it. I'm more natural because of my reporting job. So I appreciate all the lessons I learned from work.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I'm gonna say one thing is that I watched the Miss Universe pageant, and I remember when you were announced, I was just like so many different things coming together for me. One, obviously, you're Miss USA, and then you're also a woman of color, and I was just like, yes, like I'm so excited. So I want you to speak on that. Being a woman of color and then representing our country on such a huge stage. How has that been? What's the feedback you've gotten about that? All the good things.
No, it was something that I will never, ever forget. My grandkids will hear about it. My great grandkids will hear about it. Representing the United States as Miss USA is such a great honor. And then to go to Miss Universe and walk the Miss Universe stage as Miss USA, the feeling was incredible. I was so proud to have that sash on. And, I am a Black woman, I'm a biracial woman. I represent so much. And it's funny because I still feel just like Elle. I feel pretty normal. But the messages that I've received from grandmothers who are like, my granddaughter watched Miss USA and she was so happy to see a woman of color win. Or my cousins, my little cousins, just so many messages from women who are scared to enter pageantry. And I was like, I did it for my first time at Miss Kentucky USA and then ended up winning Miss USA. Anything can happen. So I think representation is so incredibly important. And I hope I'm making everyone proud. That's what I would say.
You really are, because I completely think that this is, for me, it was so revolutionary, right? Because I'm now like, 35 years old. I've watched Miss Universe, I told you, growing up, and it was always like the blonde woman, and it was like I was always rooting for Miss USA, obviously, but to have someone represent women like myself who grew up watching pageants and, you know what I mean, loving beauty and loving the idea of being a woman and representing that. I mean, it's a whole different, dynamic, and there's so many layers that are satisfied, when you're watching that as just a consumer. So this is actually my segue into beauty, because I really want to talk to you about, some of the things that I guess have become over time your beauty staples, and the way that you've approached it, especially given the pageant. I'm sure it's impacted like how you do your makeup or how you approach your skin health and stuff. So I want to talk about that as well, because that's also very underrepresented, especially for women of color in our industries. So
Absolutely. Ask away. What do you want to know about my skincare routine?
what is the prep like for you, daily versus like pageant prep, like for your skin health?
Oh, goodness gracious. I think it's more or less the same. You always want to take care of your skin. I'm always drinking a gallon of water a day. That's something that I've realized helps my skin a lot. Just moisture wise. I always take off my makeup at night, even no matter how exhausted I am. I realize if I don't, I break out, which is never fun, no matter how old you are. It's never fun. But also my staples, I would say my goal at Miss USA was to really showcase my personality, which is like, I think is like this fun, fresh person. And so I never wanted to be too heavy on the makeup. And so even for day to day, it's usually just a tinted moisturizer, blush, mascara. That's what it was. And so of course for the stage, we upgraded it a little bit more, but even at the Miss USA stage, I was like, fresh. We don't want to look too heavy. We don't want anything dark. But definitely light is my go to on a day-to-day basis.
That so like minimalist approach
Yes,
always.
very much.
So what's your favorite tinted moisturizer though? I gotta know.
So it's Synergens. And so Synergens is actually the sponsor for Miss USA. And I promise I'm not just saying this because they handed me the moisturizer while I was at USA. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try it. And it's absolutely phenomenal. It's not too heavy. It just like sits on your skin just the right amount. It makes you glow, just brings everything that you just kind of need in the morning where you're like, "Okay, I just need a little something." That's what I love. And then the blush, Synergens blush as well. Those are the best ones that I use.
That's so cool. I love that. So really in terms of so that's normal then, the minimalist approach for beauty overall for Elle.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
now, one thing I want to ask is I know that when you went to Miss Universe, there's this idea of like, people say that beauty changes no matter, depending on what country you're in and what region you're in. But I would, really like to know from a global perspective what you noticed are like staples for women when it comes to beauty, whether that's, smiling a lot or whatever you noticed.
It's interesting because I called my mom while I was at Miss Universe and I said, it is fascinating to see the different standards of beauty from all over the world. Like we all look so incredibly different, but we're all beautiful. So that was so fun for me to see. And, I think the one thing at Miss Universe was, of course, hair. Like we just want luscious locks, luscious hair for anybody, but also a good lip. I think a good lip color can be fun. show a little bit of personality, pull a whole face together. I realized that sometimes when I'm like, I'm missing something, it's because I don't have anything on my lips. And so it was fun to see all the different girls pick their different lip colors while at Miss Universe. That was something that I loved.
That's so cool. And by the way, your curls looked phenomenal on stage.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you.
I saw your curls and I was like, oh my God, they're the prettiest curls I've ever seen. So that's so cool. What do you use for your hair, by the way? I'm gonna definitely ask that because
No, the hair routine, girl, it has taken me a minute because I'm biracial. So my mother is white, had no idea how to do my hair. And so it was a struggle growing up. Finally, as like a 21-year-old, I finally figured out the perfect concoction of different things to use. So I'm obsessed with Carol's Daughters hair products. I use their shampoo, conditioner, and then I use their cream that they have, and then a little bit of gel, and then I diffuse. That's it. Super easy. Lasts me about like 3 or 4 days, and then I redo it. So not the most in-depth, crazy hair routine you've ever heard, but it works for me.
long as it works. That's so cool. I hope everyone heard that, by the way. Definitely use it because that was like like your hair just looked perfect. And I always like wonder about curly hair because I actually put together that 2021 like top picks for
Yeah.
us, and that was the hardest section was the curly hair part. So I was like,
Hair is difficult. But also for pageantry, I would be remiss to note that I've invested in a very small curling iron. And so
mm,
it affects the like curls that are not like the most defined. And so I do that when I'm on stage. So I'm not going to lie about that one. I do use a little curling iron to perfect those ones.
awesome pro tip indeed. I love that. I want to actually ask you though, very generic question, but I mean, we have to know what is in your makeup bag, like on a daily use, like what products are always in there? What do you love using day in and day out?
Oh goodness. Okay. The Fenty concealer, of course. I love the Fenty concealer. I don't go anywhere without blush. Just a simple CoverGirl mascara. I love that just for a little bit of a touch up. And then chapstick. Those are my ones. See, simple. And that's all it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, like that's so cool to hear that because I feel like people expect this exuberant answer to like what's in your makeup bag.
No.
And I'm perhaps,
I'm trying to think yeah, my makeup bag's over there, and that's what would be in it.
yeah,
Concealer, blush, chapstick, mascara. Those, if I'm in a panic and I need to have my makeup done, that's all I need. Those are the ones that I
I love that. I love that. And the next question is actually a little heavier, but I think it's very important to ask you is growing up, I think as women, especially young girls, we have these like things that mold us, right? And the way that we think about beauty and beauty standards and just all those things and psychologically. So growing up, who were some of the women or maybe actresses or scientists or whoever it was that you really looked up to or maybe saw and you really liked their aesthetic or the way they presented themselves or anything like that?
Oh goodness, I have so many. I would be remiss to say that my mother was the first person that taught me how to do makeup. I remember sitting on the ground and watching her do her makeup before work every single day, and I would think, wow, she's the most beautiful woman in the whole entire world. So mom definitely taught me a lot just about skincare, makeup. She taught me that you don't need makeup, that you're naturally beautiful. And I think sometimes we all forget that. But mom and I also loved People magazine. So we would scroll through People magazine when I was little. And the queen herself, Angelina Jolie, I just loved everything about her because she's such a stunning woman naturally. And she could just had this effortless look to her, which I hope to achieve one day. Still working on it. But Angelina Jolie, Beyonce, just as a Black woman, everything that she is, I want to be exactly like her. But I would say those three, my mom, Beyonce, and Angelina Jolie are my favorites.
That's a nice balance. That's
Yeah.
like a well, thank you for answering that. Yeah, I think we all have these they just stick with you icons, really. But So cool. And, obviously, Elle, I told you I was going to ask you this is about that advice for young women that are listening. And, maybe you're already into pageantry, if you're listening, any of the audience, or you've been in pageantry. It's just some advice from you about being a woman and going into a route that maybe might not feel so conventional, right? So I would love just some words of wisdom from you for them.
The first thing that I will say is do it. If you're on the fence, if you're nervous, if you've done it 5 times and you haven't gotten the outcome that you want, still do it again. Each time that I competed, I know I only competed twice, but each time I learned something new about myself. I learned skills that will transcend far past my pageantry career. And I had fun. I met new people who I can network with. The opportunities that the pageant world provides are just out of this world. You will learn so much. And we need to diversify the pageantry world even more, not even, with your ethnicity, but sexuality, all of these different things. I'd love to see more diversity in that regard as well. And so for all the women who are hesitant, just do it. And also, if you're nervous, just realize that you have all the skills that you think you need, all the skills that you think you want. You already have those within yourself. So just believe in yourself. Have a little bit of faith. I know it'll be a fun ride.
Yes, love that. And by the way, more power to tall women and tall young ladies. Because I remember when I was growing up, Elle, I read that you're like 5'10", right? Am I correct? Okay, well, I am 5'9", and I want to just say this because when I was growing up, everybody else was very short, and I got made fun of. So, hey, all the tall girls, more power to you.
No,
Just
more
keep
power to the tall girls, and you better rock those 6-inch heels like I do. You better rock them.
Absolutely. Elle, thank you so much. This has been such a dream come true, genuinely, to be able to host you and just learn about your journey. Thank you. I would love to have you on anytime you have the time for it, obviously.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you again.
We appreciate you. Thank you. And everyone tuning in, please leave your comments and questions, and I'll pass them to Elle's team. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.